Hello guys, Robert1 and Charmander in the background as always, coming at you with a new Yu-Gi-Oh video. Now, in today's Yu-Gi-Oh video, we're going to be discussing pretty much pot cards today. We're going to be talking about cards that use pots. We're going to be talking about all the pots in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! We're going to be planting some cards in pots. We're going to be doing all the... No, we're not going to be planting pots or anything, guys. We're talking about two pot cards in the game in general. We're going to be talking about Pot of Extravagance and Pot of Prosperity, and pretty much talking about why they're so similar, what are the differences, and which one you should really probably be using in your control-based decks, or decks in general if you really do want to use them in different decks. Now, obviously, these two cards are very similar in their own right. They both have similar effects. Let's say you both have to banish 3 or 6 cards from your extra deck. They both add cards from your deck to your hand, and they both have an effect that stops you from drawing. So, I just wanted to talk about these two cards today because, well, I've been looking up both of these cards, and even though they're very similar and they're very different in their own rights, I wanted to talk about them just because, well, they're really interesting cards, and I feel like not a lot of people know the differences enough or how you should really choose to use them in your decks. So I thought today I'd make a video just to talk about that, to give some insight on it, and basically just say, oh, maybe you should play this one or maybe you should play this one, and hopefully help you make that decision if you do want to play it. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and start talking about these cards, starting with Pot of Extravagance. So Pot of Extravagance is obviously a normal spell card that has the effect that at the start of your main phase 1, banish 3 or 6 random face down cards from your extra deck face down. Draw 1 card for every 3 cards banished. For the rest of this turn after this card resolves, you cannot draw any cards by card effects. So Extravagance is pretty much just Pot of Greed with extra steps. You get to draw 2 cards for banishing 6 cards from your extra deck, or 1 card banishing 3 cards from your extra deck. That's what this card does, and is actually really good and has shown that it's really good in so many different control decks. Being a good card in Guru control, just not caring about your extra deck in general, banishing the cards and then being able to draw cards into stuff like Hidden City, or playing Altergeist, being able to draw your Meliseeks, being used in somewhat in Eldritch as well, just to get to further cards there. The card is very, very strong and is definitely a really good contender, but the question is it better than Pot of Prosperity still? So let's go ahead and read Pot of Prosperity. Now, Pot of Prosperity is also a normal spell card that has a lot more text. So Pot of Prosperity says you can banish 3 or 6 cards of your choice from your extra deck face down. For the rest of this turn after this card resolves, any damage your opponent takes is halved. Also, excavate cards from the top of your deck to the number of cards banished. Add 1 excavated card to your hand, place the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. You can only activate 1 Pot of Prosperity per turn. You cannot draw cards by card effects the turn you activate this card. So this card is obviously very, very different to Pot of Extravagance. First of all, it makes all damage your opponent take is halved. So if you attack your opponent with any monsters, they're going to take half of it. If you deal any burn damage, they're going to take half of it. Pot of Prosperity says that your opponent takes half damage. They can't take more damage than that, which is first one of the big restrictions on the card. It says your opponent can take half. Second, a big difference between Extravagance and Prosperity is you get to choose with Prosperity what you banish face down. So if you don't want to banish any of those specific extra deck monsters or have the risk of banishing specific extra deck monsters, Pot of Prosperity basically gives you that safety as well because you will actually get to choose. And the other two differences between this card is this card doesn't draw cards, it excavates the top 6 or top 3 cards of your deck to pretty much get the cards that you need. So if you excavate 6, you could potentially get that 1 card you need to be able to finish your combo or have the specific trap cards you need to be able to make your opponent lose the game, such as against a Pendulum player, you could get Anti-Spell Fragrance, a Monarch player, a Mask of Restrict, something along those lines that will just stop your opponent from being able to play the game. Pot of Prosperity gives you the ability to get to that specific card. And the other difference that is very different to Pot of Extravagance is the fact that, well, Extravagance says you can draw cards before Extravagance is activated. So if you can have an effect that says you can draw during the draw phase or the standby phase, then you can still use those draw effects. But if you're using Pot of Prosperity, well, you can't activate a draw effect at all during that turn. So if you want to activate Pot of Prosperity, well, you can't activate if you've used an effect that would draw you a card that turn. So just a difference there as well along with that. So we've gone over that. Now, why are we talking about these two cards? Why are we talking about these two cards that are clearly very different in a large scale, but also very similar? Well, we're going to talk about the differences now, and we're going to talk about, well, which one you should probably be playing in your main deck in general. Now, obviously, Extravagance is a card that is very strong because it's basically Pot of Greed. Pot of Greed has always been known to be a very strong card in the game because, well, it doesn't just give you one card, it gives you two cards. It gives you two new cards in your hand, and Pot of Extravagance essentially does that, and has shown its power throughout the years in so many different control decks that it's so undeniable that Pot of Extravagance is a very good card. But does Pot of Prosperity come out of nowhere and beat Pot of Extravagance in that fact? Does Pot of Prosperity say, oh yeah, you can have two cards if you want, but you can actually pick one of 6 cards from your top of your deck? Is Pot of Prosperity better in that fact? Now, obviously, it can be in a lot of ways. In a lot of different decks, having that one specific card can be really powerful. Getting that specific trap you need, as I said, can honestly just win you games out of nowhere. Getting that specific combo piece you need can win you games out of nowhere as well, because you get that one combo piece and then you just go off and proceed to win the game. But is getting a specific card compared to 2 random cards really always going to be that powerful as well? That's kind of like the thought process here. Is Pot of Prosperity honestly better than Extravagance in the long run? Because yes, you can get that one card, which can be really important, but if your opponent stops that one card, then won't you need an additional card to get you out of that situation? Which is where I kind of think where Extravagance could be better as well. Because even though Extravagance doesn't guarantee that you get that one card that you really need, it gives you the possibility of getting that one card you need, but it also gives you the chance of getting an additional card that can help you out of a tight situation if that one card gets stopped. So the real question here is, which one is better out of the two in the terms of drawing, in the terms of your combos, in the terms of cards you need? Well, honestly, it comes down to you lot when you really think about it. Now, personally, when I look at these two cards, if I was to choose which one I would use in a deck, I'd probably pick Pot of Prosperity. Having the option of just choosing what cards you banish from your extra deck is really nice. Having the choice of a card out of the top 6 cards of your deck is really nice. But at the same time, having that additional card at random is always really nice as well, which you can get with Pot of Extravagance. So, on all honesty, I would probably, out of the two, always pick Pot of Prosperity to play in my main deck, because if I feel like having that choice is really good, and then just putting the rest of your cards back into your deck and having the choice of banishing from your extra deck, and sure, I can activate it anytime during the main phase as well, which is really nice, but if I've already activated a draw effect, then it kind of dies there as well. But nonetheless, I feel like Pot of Prosperity is just a really good card in general, but is it better than Pot of Extravagance? I feel like Pot of Extravagance is still a really strong card, and it's a card that I'll definitely play. Honestly, if I had to choice between the two, if it was a deck like Guru Control, I would probably pick Pot of Prosperity, but if it's a deck like Autogeist, then I would probably pick the Pot of Extravagance, and there's a very specific reason for that. In Autogeist, you don't need one specific card. You don't need that one specific card in your main deck to be able to play the game. Sure, you need the Multi-Faker, but you have so many ways to get to Multi-Faker in Autogeist, be it through personal spoofing, be it through Meta Seek, be it through just drawing the card in general, that it doesn't really matter if you don't see it in your opening hand. But having that chance to draw 2 additional cards to get you 2 more trap cards that could potentially stop your opponent from playing the game and help you win the game, I feel like it's a lot better in a deck like Autogeist. But in a deck like Guru Control, which is a deck that really does need to get to the cards that it needs, such as the Hidden City and the Guru, to be able to get you to Subterra Fiendess or the Final Battle, it's really important to play a card like that. So when I'm looking at these 2 cards, I really do think, oh yes, they have their uses in different decks and they have their specific scenarios in different decks, but which one is better? As I said, I feel like I'll probably play Pot of Prosperity a lot more over the time of Extravagance, because Extravagance, yes, it's a random banish which can hurt quite a bit. You can only use it at the start of your main phase 1, but drawing 2 cards is always better than getting 1 card. And Pot of Prosperity, yes, it gives you that choice, but it only gives you that 1 card. So personally, I think Pot of Prosperity is better because of the choice factor in that, but Extravagance will always be better in the opinion of it gives you more cards, and more cards is always better than less cards in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! It gives you more advantage and it gives you more chance to play the game, which I feel like is really good. So guys, in my opinion, I feel like Pot of Prosperity is just a better card in general because it gives you that choice, but Extravagance is still a really strong card because it just gives you that additional card, and having more cards is always going to be better than having less cards. So guys, what do you personally think though? Do you think Extravagance is better than Prosperity? Do you think Prosperity is better than Extravagance? I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below, seeing as this is a video that I just wanted to talk about because being a control player and being someone who plays control decks, being someone who plays different strategies in the game, and being someone who just likes to have cards that say draw or add cards to my hand, it's a real cool thing when you see cards like these in the game where are so similar but have like one big difference in them that yes, they're really similar, yes, they're really good, but they have a difference in it that really does change the factor of would you play it this way or would you play it that way. So guys, thanks so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to check out all the links in the description, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure you choose your pots very carefully, guys.